gives you a little countdown so that you don't have to edit people saying, "Is it started yet?" That's nice.
Has it started yet?
No.
Hello and welcome to episode 211 of Masters of the Forge. I'm Adam, and with me is Jason.
Hello, everyone.
And Tucker.
Hello.
And Jared.
Hello.
And Nick.
Yay.
And Dave.
Hello.
And Kendrick.
Hello.
All right. I'm super excited that you guys can come. So this is just going to be a quick episode. Well, we're not doing... Yeah, we're not... It's not going to be quick. So that's why we're not doing an intro.
Yeah. Intro got cut. That idea was cut immediately.
Yeah. And I'm still like living this like fantasy realm where we're gonna have 3 episodes this month. Anyways, this episode is our 9th to 10th edition Roundtable discussion. Now I know that there have been probably quite a few podcasts talking about 10th edition and how people feel about it. I figured instead what Masters of the Forge will do is have people actually play the game before giving their opinions on the game. It's super weird, but
I dare you?
Yeah.
I figured that might be a cool way to go.
This.
I want to crunch imaginary numbers in my head. I don't want to roll actual dice. You kidding me?
Right? It's the worst. Okay, so I've played 5 games. Jason, how many did you play?
2.
Tucker?
2.
Jared?
Also 2.
Dave?
4.
And Kendrick, you played?
I'm at 5.
5. So if I'm doing the math correctly, Kendrick...
How many did Nick play?
I played 3.
Okay, thank you.
Did I skip you?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, that's nice. So I suspect, Kendrick, you played Dave.
Twice.
Right? Twice. And you played me twice.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the third lucky pivot person?
Tucker.
Oh, Tucker, and that was Tucker's second game. Okay, cool. I love it. And what, like, I played Orcs all 5 games. Jason, you played Your Thousand Sons both your games. Tucker, you played
Custodes.
Jared, you played
Necrons.
Necrons?
Yeah, I'm playing Necrons.
Sure. And okay, it's fine. Nick, what did you play?
Actually, fascinatingly enough, World Eaters.
I thought you were going to skip
right.
Nick. Just
love
for fun.
that. Yeah, from now, just keep it going. Dave, what have you been playing?
So I played my first couple games with Chaos Space Marines.
Night Lords!
Yeah, I played my Night Lords. In the lower points games. Didn't go super well, and then I realized that I really, truly enjoy the Saga rule for Space Wolves, so my other 2 games have been Space Wolves.
Oh, fun. Okay, cool. I think you're like the only person who's played multiple factions. Kendrick, have you played Tyranids the whole time?
Tyranids the whole way.
All right, cool. Well, nice. So we do have a broad array of factions that we've tried, except we do have a Space Marine faction in Dave's selection. So great. Yeah, we've got a good
I did run them as
mix.
generic Space Marines in one of the games. The one where me and Ken tried out the Leviathan box, Tyranids v Space Marines. I did generic Space Marines for that one.
Okay.
Well, I didn't count that game, so I guess I'm at 6.
Oh wow! All right, here we go. I changed the notes. That's right. All right. Okay, so
That uneventful, apparently.
Yeah,
I got my ass kicked.
That's not what the voting says, Kendrick. You
It
won.
is not, because David won, so I let David choose what we voted won the game. So
Yeah. Anyway.
No, I'm sorry we didn't get together to do a group gaming experience. This would have been a pretty cool episode in person, but also doing it this way allows Jason to get in on it, which is nice. So and scheduling being the way it is, like this was like the only way. Okay. So, but I think Zencastr does a pretty good job. All right, so let's get into the questions. We just have a few questions here that I asked everybody to write a little something down. I didn't answer any of the questions. I'm just here to tell you how wrong you are. Okay, so the first question is, what notable change did you like between the editions, Jason?
So I am playing as Thousand Suns this whole way. So this is where I'm getting my views from. But removal of the psychic phase, and reduction of the 12 to 18 psychic powers that may or may not be anything.
Right.
I'm also digging that these old psychic powers, instead of just throwing them all away, they're going through and actually giving them to very specific sorcerers in A Thousand Suns. So like Doombolt was a psychic power they used to take all the time, but now I think it's specifically for just the sorcerer. But I need to get back and check. I also do like the expansion of the different types of sorcerers that are available for the Thousand Suns.
Right.
Because now you can take five different sorcerers. They're all different character profiles. They'll have different powers. So it's a little more. It kind of caught me off guard on our first two games. I didn't realize, exactly what was going on with those others. And getting rid of that smite rolling rule where it's like +1 every time.
Because everybody just has a psychic power attack thing.
Well, because what would happen is we'd be playing. I'm like, how many times have I done smite? Like I would forget.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a nightmare. I like how they're doing the psychic powers. I think it's great, and having each power be themed to a specific character. I'm curious, Dave. Did you happen to look at any of the Space Wolf Librarian psychic powers at all?
Like Space Wolf. I looked at Niall. I haven't used him yet. I looked at him very, very briefly. It's been more or less using the generic Space Marine Librarian, who his powers are sufficient. He has smite and stuff like that. So,
but does Niall have like a everybody takes mortal wounds near me because I am the center of the storm type thing, or?
He might. It's been a minute. Like I don't own the model, so it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm not really keen on playing Niall. He's one of those old fine cast termy models. Yeah, he is antiquated at this point. Yeah. So
I love that we still have the jump on the orc side of things, but also I feel it does feel funny that like the orcs are still let's be a teleporting army, which is just really weird, but. Okay.
However, Dave, let's be real. That new caster for out of the Leviathan box could be that guy without any doubt in my mind.
Yeah, just gave him a staff.
Yeah.
Oh, I still have to send that to Jason. It's fine. I promised him I'd do that 2 months ago.
More Zangors?
Yeah. Yeah. If you guys have more Zangors, I can pack that in with the librarian.
It's
Tucker,
difficult. I can only take 120.
What notable change did you have you liked between the editions?
I've liked the units just going back down to having special rules on the actual cards themselves and not having to look and keep track of every stratagem to give them the ability that they had before.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, like when we played our games, I knew that all I had to do was look at my data sheet. And that's a pretty big deal. Jared, what about you?
I really like the new enhancements they put in that replace the relics. I think it's cool that there's there's no limit on how many you can take, but they each cost variable amounts of points now.
Yeah, and it's an easy way to get to 2,000 or 1,000 or whatever. Yeah,
you have a little extra points, so you can slot one in.
Right. I almost like that better than the persistent spells, the living spells.
Oh, from Age of Sigmar?
Age of Sigmar, yeah. Kendrick, what about you?
I've been enjoying the Battle Shock system.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I mean, my faction does do it a little bit, but I've always felt like I like that Tyranids actually suffer from it now. Like, I've had quite a few times where I actually roll for it and lose. So, and I'm in Synapse range. So, and I had one of my big monsters that's supposed to, not be a part of, the Hive expansion of the Synapse range. He failed it. Yeah. It's like, oh great, there goes all that OBSEC. But no, I really have enjoyed it, and I think that it's a really interesting mechanic. But I'm wondering what they're going to continue to do with it, because I feel like lots of people out there haven't interacted with it very much. So.
Right. It can have some interesting consequences depending on when it goes off. So, like I had a game with Tucker a couple days ago where what unit was it? The Death Dread. Death Dread came in from reserve and charged his unit on the backfield. And the Death Dread has an ability that causes you to take a battle shock test at the end of the combat phase, I believe it was. And I think either the beginning or the end. Either way, they failed it. Like Custodes, like this big unit of Custodes, you rolled like garbage low, like 4 or 5, right?
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure I only needed a 6.
Yeah. So what that meant was the secondary objective that I had for scoring on my opponent's backfield, or no, it was during your turn that you failed it, and you had, what was it? It was the hold home territory or whatever. It was a match play game, but anyways, he had to hold his own objective, which should have been the easiest thing in the world to do, but they lost their objective control stat because they failed. They failed that battle shock test from just from that one unit forcing the test. So it's really, you would think that it was my master plan, but I totally forgot about that ability until it came up. So, but still, it's like you can actually use it at different times for a lot of different weird things. And I'm really looking forward to like what the Night Lord's detachment is going to look like.
Same.
Yeah, well, I bet you are, Dave. Speaking of, what are you excited about for this new edition?
The returning universal rules. It just makes it a lot cleaner when you're looking up rules and stuff like that, rather than what is like this generic rule that we look up, or this rule that's very specific to this one group, like Wrath of the Ancients or something like that. Like it's got some silly name, and in reality, it's just a 4-up Feel No Pain or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just easier to slap that rule on the card, and also the universal rules for weapons. So rather than weapons being like all these weird bespoke things based per like DACA or what was it for Votan? It was like Tactic or something like that. Like they had their own special name for their weapon
like
type.
Exploding 6. Yeah.
And so like everything has been kind of broken down into these universal rules that makes things, in my opinion, a lot cleaner to read. And as long as you memorize what areas, you figure out what these rules are, you kind of have figured out the game.
Yeah, and I do like most of them have a variable aspect, which means, just because one unit has the same special rule as another unit doesn't mean that it'll have exactly the same ability. You could make them stronger or weaker as needed, which is really cool. Okay, Nick, what was your thing that you picked?
So, yeah, I know you guys touched on a lot of really good things that have changed, and for me, one of the biggest changes was actually the app that we ended up getting for 10th edition.
Yeah.
It's actually, so it's not perfect, but is actually really functional, and it's also really great to be able to pull up things really quickly. And how they have like the unit card set up, you can easily click on something and be like, oh, what's that rule do? Click. Okay, that's what that rule does. Now I know it does that for everything. So that's always really, really nice. And I didn't think the 9th edition app, or like what they had out at the time, was it ever functional? Like, was it?
Not 100%.
Like 3 months where it worked.
Yeah, it's just some factions still had weird stuff going on with them. I definitely think that they stopped like supporting it a while ago. Okay, cool. What you folks may be hearing is, I forgot to mention that I told these guys, like, not necessarily your favorite thing, but because there's a lot of us and we may have many of us may have the same favorite thing, so I asked everybody to come up with something different. So there might be some different choices here. I definitely agree that the app is great. I think it's just fine. Maybe the reference section could be a little more robust, but we'll see what codexes look like when they get uploaded into these things.
I think I'm going to tag on to what you're talking about, Adam. I think the only piece that I would love to see in there is the addition of the ability to go and look at your detachment rules while you're in your army. Because having to drop all the way back to your index page in order to go and look at that information is just a little frustrating. But again, I'm nitpicking because the rest of it functions very well, just as Nick said.
Yeah, I've been using it, and it's been really nice. So I think if I were to choose my favorite thing, it's going to be the terrain rules. I love that Kendrick and I played a game with hills, like almost exclusively hills on the battlefield, and we actually got to use them as terrain but where in 9th edition, you're basically not playing with any terrain if you have hills on the battlefield. So I think the new terrain rules are great, and I'm very happy to see them. You guys feel free to jump in and interrupt me anytime you want. Okay.
Oh, I'm good at that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So the second question that we have is, what is a notable change that you did not like between the editions? Jason?
Okay. So I'm going to contradict what I said earlier.
Uh-huh.
I think that the change to the psychic phase removal might make it more difficult for new players to pursue armies like Grey Knights or Thousand Suns. However, the new cards do make psychic powers much easier to manage than, say, 6th edition, where you just threw out random psychic powers in whatever phase, and you sometimes had to argue it through with, it didn't work well before, and so in that edition.
Right, and people will have to look up to know what psychic powers or what weird stuff you can do in the game. They have to look at all of the data sheets to see what powers and what abilities each unit has.
Yeah, the thing is that we have strats now that can be used in your opponent's turn, so that might be just a difficulty for everybody. So I guess what I'm saying is that I'm glad that the psychic phase is gone, but I'm a little concerned about, what it might do. It's fine for me, but it's the beginning players I'm a little more concerned about, I guess.
Tucker, do you have anything that you're concerned about?
Not really. The only thing I put down was just actually remembering the objectives they actually exist if you're playing not match play rules, so you can't actually place things on the objectives.
Oh, right. Yep. Yeah. Yep. And I thought that was an interesting choice. At first, I was like, "That's stupid. I don't like it." And then I thought, "Oh, I'll just bring my narrative objectives and put them down because they're just all toilets and dog houses and cans of red paint and stuff." And then match play rules were like, you can go on top of them now again. Sorry, we didn't mean to do that. I suspect for Imperial Knight players,
probably
I don't know.
I think it has a lot. I think it has a lot to do with just making it easier for a competitive setting, because having to do all that shenanigans with moving your models around and being really finicky, I could see that being a nightmare. But I could also see that being part of the challenge. So personally, I think they should have kept it in match play. But I don't like Knights anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so Jared, what about you, buddy?
So I like that characters can attach themselves to squads now. I just wish they had the option to leave or transfer, kind of like they did back in 7th edition.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think I don't need the ability to leave personally, but it would sure be nice to be able to attach them again.
Yeah, it just seems weird. Like if there's a commissar and his entire squad just gets killed, and he's just standing there being like, "Well, that's that then."
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that would have been real nice to be able to rejoin.
Also, to say, like, piggyback on that, it kind of almost eliminates Hero Hammer in a way. Because if you stick your guy in, like, a squad, he's there. Like, that's it. Like, I've made the mistake of, like, putting a character inside of a much slower unit, and I was like, oh my god. I actually just crippled this really good character by doing this. Like,
Yeah.
This is a mistake.
The character's just running circles around the unit. Come on, guys, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go.
that's literally what happened until I
Oh.
got charged, and then because of the placement, like the smaller units couldn't actually get around the bigger base of the guy I attached them with, so it actually took a turn for them to even participate, and I was like, oh, I goofed.
Oh, I put an Exalted Sorcerer on disc with rubrics, so I lost all the movement for that guy immediately.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what's his movement? Like 12?
Yeah.
Yeah, and rubrics are 5?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah, it just killed him. It's like, it's
I'm
like
taller than everyone
yo-yo.
else. That's the benefit.
We all know. Everybody here knows the answer to that. He needs to be joined to some Zangors. Can you do that? Is that a thing you're allowed to do?
No.
Zangors on disc? No.
We need a fact checker. We need a fact checker for Jason.
Hold on.
No,
wait, hold on. I don't think they can because there's special rules on who they can join.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Kendrick, what was your thing that you are concerned about?
So the change that I didn't appreciate was it's more along the lines of the fly rule. I don't like that some units have fly when they have a 5-inch movement. That literally doesn't do them any good. Like, just make it so they don't fly anymore. Like, really?
Yeah.
Like, great example. Zoanthropes have the fly special rule. They have 5-inch movement. They don't get over a wall. They're basic infantry now.
Right. So, they're infantry with fly. So they can move through walls.
What happens is you have to do the vertical. You have to go up and over it.
If you want
to use fly, you have to go over terrain. But
and have that
also they're infantry, so they can go through walls, so they don't have to do that. Actually,
I don't know. Are they? I don't know. I haven't. Maybe
if they're infantry, they can go straight through walls, so they don't have to do that. But still, I agree with you that the fly rule is really weird right now, and the fact that you actually have to measure the diagonal to the roof.
I don't
for
mind.
These things is weird.
A great example of a unit that I actually like it for is something like gargoyles. Gargoyles, fine. 12-inch movement. That means that they have a little extra play with, so you can use the fly rule like as the fly is intended to go up and over something. But having fly on something with such a low movement value, just get rid of it.
Oh, I will. Yeah. I will give you one example of where that's actually good now. In 9th edition, you did not use the fly rule during the charge. In 10th edition, you do. So what it's going to help you do is get more models in base contact, because you can fly over enemy models when you're charging with a fly unit now.
Okay.
So imagine you're like 3 inches away or something from an enemy unit, and you roll like an 8 for your charge. You can jump over them with a bunch of your models and get way more models into base contact that way.
I think you have to be closest model though, because how charge works is like you roll towards the closest. Model?
You just have to move. If your models can be in base contact, they have to go into base contact.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not like 5th edition where you had to like draw the shortest distance or whatever.
That was my confusion. Yeah, because 5th edition player here.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's one way where that's, and I think what was it? The Zoanthropes?
Zoanthrope.
Yeah, they're not doing that, but a different unit.
They add a different unit back in. If they put in the Winged Warrior unit that I'm hoping comes out whenever they decide to release the new stuff for Tyranids, if they start coming back, okay, I'm game, because that's fun.
Yeah.
Not that I think they're going to be all that good, but at least the Warrior Prime is something, or the new Prime model that they made has somebody to go with other than Foot Warriors, as previously discussed. Movement value of 12 versus movement value of 6. or gargoyles, yeah, they match up movement value, but those gargoyles are just bodyguarding a guy who's awful.
Well, and I also see that it's like I don't see a problem with giving some units like fly, like what are the Hormagaunts? They're the ones with the bladed arms.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
they could have fly. They don't actually fly, but the way they move across the battlefield, you could give them fly.
Like so, give them like their special rule instead of being able to run and charge. They just have like their keyword. They gain the keyword fly.
They just fly, yeah. But okay, so next is Dave. What are you concerned about, Dave?
Transports. They're just weird. They're kind of funky, and some of the rules that they've given them have been a bit weird overall. Like Drukhari have gotten the ability to combat squad, and Votann have the ability to combat squad, but Space Marine Firstborns don't. So you have a squad of 10 guys, and you can't split them up into like 2 Razorbacks and get some decent fire bases moving around with
Razorback. I forgot about the Razorback.
Because you're not the only one. Does. I'm fairly certain that Jared and Nick have both forgotten about Razorbacks. So when I shared my list, they were very confused.
Like, what is this model?
Man,
I thought it was a dead model, to be honest.
I haven't seen a Razorback since 7th edition.
Yeah, exactly.
Like 4 of them.
They
were crazy back in like 7th edition. That was the way you ran, units. You just like MSU spam. Here you go.
So Dave, you're upset that 10th edition isn't like 7th edition?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is they've done some weird things with certain groups that I was confused by, basically.
It does seem like there's some stuff. A little bit of stuff missing. I think one of you guys, I think it was Nick. No, was it? I can't remember who it was. Asked me if any. I think it was Nick. Asked me if any orc vehicles had.
Assault.
And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And apparently, some land raiders allow the land raider to move and then disembark models, right?
Yeah, it's called assault ramp, and it's exactly what you said. You can move, then get out, and then assault.
Yeah,
that's stupid. Because it's pretty much it's 13-inch move. The vehicle moves 10, you get out 3, like boom, boom, boom.
And then you get to charge people.
And then you get the fucking charge.
The Impulsor from Space Marines gets that same rule. Why? Not the Repulsor, not the big battle tank. The Impulsor, the little transport that carries 6 models.
Blade Guard Veterans is the only thing I can think of.
Yeah. It's awful because it can only carry Secondborn. It can only carry Primaris, and it's like, well, come on, at least just get rid of that shit.
Wait, is that rule still in effect?
So they have Space Marines have a rule where there's a specific type of armor and they got rid of the Primaris keyword, but they added something else in its place.
They've moved it to Primaris Marines now have Tacticus, which anything that says it cannot transport Tacticus can't
like
carry
a Rhino.
Primaris Marines. Yeah, Rhinos can't carry Tacticus Marines.
Yeah. So it's weird. It is a little strange. I would have expected that kind of an ability to be on the battle wagon, but if I'm keeping it real, WOG lets me advance and charge, so I can just get out and then run, and then the battle wagon can also run, and everybody gets to charge. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, Nick, what were you thinking?
So this one's a double-edged sword, and it's the survivability of the game now. And by that I mean stuff does stick around a lot longer. Damages feel like it's been really kind of toned down a lot, where it feels like you see a lot of 1s and 2s for damage now, and like 3s like something does 3, and then something super dangerous when you see a D6 slapped in there, willy-nilly. And that is nice because I'm able to play with my models longer. I'm able to allow the board to kind of evolve and, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just kind of sit there and you're just like, oh, that was a little anticlimactic because, like, you expect there to be a little bit more punch to something and it's not there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a tough, like you said, it's a double-edged sword, right? You want people to be able to play with their toys, but also you want to kill their toys.
Exactly.
So
It's the battle bot. It's the battle bot frame of mind. Like, I want my stuff to break your stuff, not the other way around.
Yeah.
How many attacks do your berserkers get, Nick?
Not enough. Actually, that's a lie. Here, hold on. Let me check
gosh.
that.
I know
Hey.
you've rolled like 80 attacks against me before, and admittedly, you killed like 3 Chaos Space Marines with that, and there were still 2 Chaos Space Marines being very confused why 80 attacks only killed 3 guys.
Right. So,
Yeah.
example of that is a berserker on the charge gets 5 attacks. That's a weapon skill 3, strength on the charge, strength 6, normal fight value or normal strength is 5. So we'll say on the charge the 6, AP 1, damage 1, and like Dave said, a buttload of those attacks came in and just 3 dudes died. It was like, oh.
Admittedly, that was a very lucky series of rolls by me, but because you've seen how I roll normally,
Right.
usually if that many attacks come my way, I may as well just remove said unit.
Right. And let me also throw in this as well. I'm a little biased in this sort of world because I played 3 games. 2 of my games were against Jared and his Necrons, and that's abusive. That was an abusive relationship from the moment my sat at the table. Where, I mean, some examples of like I would kill 8 Necrons and then 10 would come back, and I'm like, that math is broken. Like, you broke the math. And he's like, sorry, man, Necrons. And I'm just like, I guess. Again, dramatic, but they do come back.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I never stop.
It never stops.
I had my game with Tucker. I was playing against his custodes, and he had a -1 to hit on all of his guys. Like, his entire army was -1 to hit with the kata. Anyways,
It's Kung Fu.
I think like 9 boys swinging in with 45 attacks. I ended up with 50-something hits.
Yeah.
From 40-something attacks with a -1 to hit.
Double up on 5s.
That's exploding thing.
Yeah. Was that in the WOG? Did you WOG into that?
I think maybe yes.
Because WOG gives you an extra attack, so yeah, you would have to have.
And then
get that many attack space.
Yeah, and then doesn't the WOG also give you the 5 exploding?
No, that's a
stratagem.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah, it's nice. Oh, okay, so let's move on to our next question. What unit has surprised you during your games, Jason?
All of the sorcerer flavors available to the Thousand Suns now, and how each profile is like unique and has a psychic power that aren't available to the other types. And it really does kind of push the idea of this being a really character-heavy army. You know,
right? Like, pick the character that you want to lead a unit and do something specific with that unit.
I mean, now there's a reason to take, an Exalted Sorcerer on foot. In 9th edition, if you want to stand there and die, well, that's the formula. Go ahead and let it stand there and die. But, now there's other reasons to take it. And I've never taken a Termi Sorcerer as a HQ because why? But now that is changed. And the nice thing is I do have a nice
these abilities and psychic powers to a specific unit does kind of give you incentive to take units you wouldn't have taken before, when you would have had the option to just put whatever psychic power you want on them.
Yeah. Okay. And there's some other stuff that surprised me, but it's all Thousand Suns like stuff. Like I'm going to talk about in our next question. So yeah.
Okay. Tucker.
Mine was just the generic shield captain, because being able to have that free stratagem during your turn is super impactful now that everything is so much more toned down on the amount of CP you get during the game.
Right, having an extra an extra free stratagem is a huge deal, and I'll piggyback off yours. I'm gonna say that the unit that has surprised me is the Gretchen. The fact, for the same reason, they can sit on objectives and generate command points.
Yeah,
they're amazing. Gretchen are amazing.
Zangor does something.
Yeah.
No, is that per Gretchen squad?
Yes.
It might be per Gretchen squad per objective. So I think if you have 2 Gretchen squads, they have to be on different objectives for you to
that makes
to
sense.
do that. But still, I would have to look it up. Sorry, guys, but yeah.
Yeah. Also, I just wanted to make sure I heard that right. Jason, what were you saying? You really like Zangors?
No, I don't like Zangors. If they're sitting on an objective on a 4-up in your command phase, they get a Cabal point.
Oh, that sounds great.
That sounds awesome.
That sounds really good. You should put more of them in your
You should
army.
definitely take a lot of those so you can just keep building points.
Wow.
Yeah, Cabal points are how you do your damage, right? That's what I hear.
All the middle fingers for you guys. All of them.
No, we're going to have to edit those middle fingers out. Okay.
Oh, I'm the one that edits. Okay, cool.
Jared, what unit has surprised you?
I've really been enjoying the Locust Heavy Destroyers because they have just carried the army anti-tank wise.
And they're beautiful.
Yeah, the models are gorgeous too.
Models are freaking great.
Yeah, that helps.
I love those things. Yeah. Kendra, between those heavy locusts, do they normally have an option of weapon, or do they have the same weapon?
They got 2. They have Gauss Destructors, which are the anti-tank ones, and then they have, it's called like Medic Exterminators, which are anti-infantry.
Okay, and are they decidedly for those roles?
Yeah, there's not really much overlap. Like, the Gauss Destructor is a single shot, so you're not going to kill much with that infantry-wise. It's a flat 6 damage. That's really overkill.
I do feel like Games Workshop is trying to make sure that weapons have roles and there's not just one obvious weapon choice that is the best weapon choice for this edition.
Like 8th edition autocannons?
Yeah, it definitely does seem like that.
Yeah. Kendrick, what about you?
All right, so this one is a jealousy choice because I don't get this. Units that can are heroes that can join units, because I have 2.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, if you count being able to join Hive Guard, but I don't, because that's just a unit that my big guys can join Hive Guard, but other than that, they can join. The Prime can join Warriors, woohoo, and then the new Brain Bug can join the new Neurogons. And they're just ablative wounds for him. That's all. But like a great example is, and I've made fun of him in a previous episode, the Apothecary Biologus, the guy you got in the Leviathan box. He is so good at aggressors. In one of the games that David and I played, he just stayed alive the whole game and just was gunning the world down with his aggressors, and it was delightful to watch. I'm just jealous I don't have one.
Yeah.
So and there's a couple other situations like the Executioner guy. What is his name, David?
The Lord.
Just Judiceer?
Judiceer. Yeah.
He killed 3 monsters. He doesn't have a monster slaying sword. But yeah, so I'm a little bit jealous of being able to have these guys that can attach to units, gain the buff of the unit, and give the unit a buff of their own. Because I don't have that, or at least very much of it.
The pain boss in our games was like very surprising when attached to a unit of Beast Snagaboys, which we discussed in the previous episode. Dave, what about you? Anything surprise you in your games?
Assault Intercessors. I always thought they were kind of vanilla. They were just kind of like a unit that I could use to caddy a more melee-focused character like the Judiceer into combat. But their special rules actually really good because they can go hunting after objectives. They have a low-strength weapon because they're only strength 4. But if they get the right character attached to them, they can hit something that's holding an objective, and they get to reroll all their wounds. And so they get basically like old shred on all of their weapons, so they can just pile into something, and each one of them gets 4 attacks. So they're no slouches. And
my orc boys are not looking forward to being the brunt of one of those assaults.
Yeah, it's a weird time. It was fun to pull off. You just got to get them there. I think that's the biggest problem, is that they're still kind of generic Space Marines. They're kind of slow, and they just need they need the right guy to get them there to do the thing that they need to get done, specifically assaulting objectives.
Right on.
Which is why 3 monsters died against the Judiceer, because the Judiceer got the reroll wounds from the unit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the unit has like this unit rerolls wounds if you charge or if you're near an objective. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he sure does. All right, Nick, who surprised you?
So I got 2.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the true MVPs of the World Eaters has to be the Jackals.
Mm-hmm.
They not only refuse to wear armor, they also refuse to wear t-shirts, and they just go into battle high as a kite, just like me. And you know what? You can throw a lot of 2 6-ups, like, because it's a 6-up armor, which, let's be real, half the time if you're just farting at them, like, we'll just completely obliterate that. So you're just taking a 6-up.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the 6+ save. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, the 6-up feel no pain is funny, and plus there is they're in the Corn Casino. They actually do have the ability to give everybody a 6-up feel no pain, and then their feel no pain actually will go to a 5-up. So, So for 75 points, 75 points for 10, they do have some quiet survivability. And to be honest, you're really just putting them in the backfield, capping objectives, because they actually can do that too, where they can desecrate an objective and then leave it, and then I hold it for that turn until you either come take it. So it's
they poop on objectives.
Yes.
Yep. Make it yours. Oh, I love that.
Yep, Objective Ravage is what it's called.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and I was going to just say the other guy, though, honestly, though, that has really impressed me, too, was the Lord Invictus.
Because he's the mounted guy?
Yep, he's the mounted guy with the Coward's Bane axe, but the real cash money of him is when he starts, he himself has Scout, and he then can give Scout to 2 infantry units, which is a pre-battle 6-inch move. And when you have that on Berserkers with a couple of other things that, again, you can get in the Corn Casino. I played against Jared and my Berserkers.
Is that a thing where you roll 8 dice and you get to use dice for stuff?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, it's actually a lot of fun, and it's actually really... I was really wary of it at first, but as I played it, it actually became kind of a fun way to be more interactive with the army. But like I was saying, they have one where you can add extra movement, and I actually had one Berserker unit move 13 inches in its movement phase from advancing rolls in the additional move.
It was booking.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, they're so angry. Sorry. Next question. Is there a unit...
What about you, Adam?
What?
What about your unit? What unit
Gretchen.
Are you surprised by?
Gretchen.
Oh, you said Gretchen?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The Gretchen. And also, but I also poked in with the Pain Boss as well. That was shocking how good he was attached to those Beast Snagaboys against monsters.
Gretchen, though, do sound like worse Zangors.
Oh, they are the best. Well, and again, what Nick has found out is if you're not shooting for 3s, you're going to get 5s and 6s. That's just how it is.
Exactly.
All right. So, is there
Did
a
Michael
unit?
Jordan say that?
Wayne Gretzky.
Wayne Gretzky.
You miss all the shots you don't take. Is there a unit you want to try out that you haven't tried out yet, Jason?
Magnus. I don't like taking named characters just on general principle, but he's such a force multiplier, and there are so many changes in this edition that I'll go ahead and do it, although I'm making it my own proxy for Magnus.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in the next episode, but spoiler alert, it's freaking rad.
Thanks.
Tucker.
Mine's kind of cop out, but I really want to get the Forge World stuff I have together because it's basically a whole second army for me.
Yeah.
For the Custodes, since they have, 4 whole units you can make out of it and the GW plastic.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot there, and I think you definitely, like, I brought my battle wagon list in our game, and I feel like it would have been really nice if you had some way of at least obliterating one of those early on in the game. Okay. What about Jared?
I really wanted to give Illuminor Xeris a try because I think he will be a fantastic warlord. Because good luck killing him.
I love Xeris. He was my favorite character when I had a Necron army. Do you know off the top of your head what he does?
Yeah, so he has, it's called Mechanical Augmentation. So he's got a 6-inch aura of Necron battle lines, so Immortal and Warriors get +1 to rend, and any shooting against them is -1 to rend.
Ooh.
Or armor penetration, I think it's called in this.
Right, yeah. It's all right. It's
same thing, really.
Interchangeable. We all know. Yeah, I love that. That's freaking rad. I love Xeris, and what a great model.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
Kendrick, what about you?
For me, I'm going to go with the Moloch.
Oh yeah.
A snake monster that I haven't gotten to try yet. I like the ability for him to come out of the ground and just do mortal wounds to people, because I feel like the army kind of in general is missing a lot of mortal wounds.
Can the Moloch arrive closer to
No, that's
models?
the Trigon.
That's the Trigon.
So the Trigon can come in and be outside of 3 inches, and he can he can't charge, but he does have a gun that does 6 shots, and it has sustained 2, and it's silly. But that does not mean you can't use the deploy on your opponent's turn ability and then charge on your turn. Mm-hmm. So, can be cheeky that way.
Yeah. I was gonna say there is I forgot the stratagem, but the stratagem that lets you arrive at the end of your opponent's movement phase.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
rapid ingress.
Rapid ingress. That's a big stratagem that you should memorize.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Is nasty.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, your opponent gets a chance to shoot and charge that unit that just came in, and they also have an opportunity to overwatch against it. But also, then that unit then my battle wagon full of boys gets to move and charge right after it comes on.
My turn. Yeah.
Yeah, on my turn. So yeah, that's really good. Dave, what about you? What do you want to try?
I just think it's funny because of just the sheer stupidness of this weapon's profile. The Stormfang gunship for Space Wolves. It's a D3 shot, hits on 3, strength 11, -3 AP, and does 7 damage. Just 7, just flat 7 damage. And it also has sustained hits D3, because if you're going to hit the thing hard and a lot, or not at all. And honestly, even though it does have 2 different firing forms, one of which being kind of like a flamer template, which is like torrent D6 plus 6 shots that do 2 damage apiece.
That's awesome.
I'm still gonna waste the strength 7 or the damage 7 shot on Hormagaunts. I have a strong feeling just to see what happens.
What kind of fine mist it creates?
Yeah, exactly.
Is probably very similar to the fine mist at the bottom of the ocean near the Titanic. Nick, what about you?
We went there. Okay.
Nice. Yeah. We'll go there again.
I
we're brave enough and we're dumb enough.
We've learned nothing as a species.
Seriously, we went right back down to the bottom.
Hey, now you can go down and look at 2 wrecks for the price of 1. That's a bargain.
If only my life could get down there, we could explore 3.
Oh.
So yeah, character that I haven't tried yet that I do want to try is actually Angron. I think the term that scientists use is brickhouse.
He
actually hands out.
I'm not editing anything.
No, I know. I'll make.
So I shouldn't be writing down all of these numbers.
We're just doing an explicit tag on this one.
Too much effort to fix.
It's funny. You know what's funny? The community team just asked us how clean our episodes are, and I just put clean.
No.
Well, they're commenting. It's really great that you guys can keep everything so clean and tight. And here comes Nick.
Whoa! I've never been censored. I'm calling you out, Mike.
Okay. Just so everyone knows, I have no air conditioning.
He got censored.
What?
I have no air conditioning.
You censored Marky Marks?
Shouldn't have gone on that racist tirade.
Sure. His political career is ruined.
All right, let's keep going.
I don't even know where we are.
Yeah, we're on Angron. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh yeah, Nick. Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Yep. Yeah. So he actually does a couple of fun things where, for his aura ability, with models within 6 inches get a +1 to their charge roll. Then he can actually pick between the two other ones where it's either Infectious Rage, which anytime a unit takes a wound, they actually get stronger and get more attacks. So it's +1 to strength, +1 to attack. Or you can do Righteous Slaughter, which allows you to re-roll melee attacks to hit.
Oh. Well, that sounds like a delight.
Even better, if you roll 666s in the Corn Casino, if Angron has died, he comes back to life. He goes into reserves, and he just deep strikes.
Yes. Yes, I love it. How many times can we bring back Angron in this game? Let's find out.
Oh, yeah.
I think the unit that I want to try out right now, I would love to take my Gorkanaut Swarm. Got the Morkanaut and the 3 Gorkanauts. I'd really like to field those guys as like a Orc Imperial Knight list and see how that does. Considering how all the special rules work for all of the units in the army instead of being locked to just like infantry and stuff, I'm feeling really great about being able to make weird lists like that. Like it. Okay. I asked you guys to put in some questions if you wanted to, and one of the questions that you guys put in was to give us a quick take on your take on the index cards and downloadable rules. Whose question was this?
Mine.
Yours. All right. Yeah. What do you think, Jason?
I love them. I was up in San Antonio this past week, and I saw a few games being played using the printed card at a Heroes Retreat, and it looked incredibly streamlined. Like, sometimes we would print out stuff and have like 20 pages of, nightmare rules, but here's like 6 cards, and that's all they have to do. And I think that's really brilliant. So,
yeah. Anybody care to agree, Tucker?
I agree. I enjoyed the way everything's now just been broken down to being right on a card, easy to take care of. Everything you need's right on the front for playing the game instead of having to flip constantly through the book.
Yeah.
Right. Jared?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I love them. It's also a lot easier to errata a card than a book.
Yeah, and I saw some people complaining that it's already like FAQ'd. Like my brother in Christ, go buy a Sharpie and fix it.
Yeah, and the errata that they did release is just like, hey, add this keyword here, add this keyword there, or remove this keyword. Super simple,
Yeah. Well, here's a slight clarification. Oops, we forgot a comma. Like that kind of deal.
Yeah.
Now the real bad one was where we just recently found out that they messed up the card backs on the secondary objective cards.
Oh no!
Now
that's a bummer.
Now that you can't fix with a Sharpie.
No. You can try, though. You can try.
I would enjoy watching you try. There we go.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Does anybody else have any strong opinions about the index cards?
I just think they're great because they make the game approachable for people who are just like, this is their first edition, because we're all veterans. We've been playing this game for a while,
Yeah.
a couple editions now at least, and we can appreciate them. But I think it's really helpful to have these available for new people who are just getting into the hobby, people who are like picking something up for their kid or for their little brother or something like that, or their little sister, people who want them to play with them. And like, here's really approachable rules, and I don't need to pay anything for them because they're downloadable for free, which makes it a lot more approachable, I think.
Yeah. Accessibility's big. And I think that's also always going to be the key to anything thriving, is how easily can I access it and how easy is it to digest.
Right. Well, let there be no doubt, once codexes come out, they're not going to be free.
I think the one thing I would add to the whole entire discussion is I really like and we kind of discussed a little bit before with what Nick picked in the app. I feel like right now is at such a nice place that I'm hoping it just continues to build on what it's done, and therefore we can have an app and a digital way to look at our rules and other people's rules while we're playing them, to be like, hey, you got this rule wrong, it's right here. You know?
Yeah, having other people's rules is good.
Having that accountability, I think, is a big deal, especially if you want the competitive gaming space to be something that is not feel bad.
It's good for the opposite, for the other like side of things too. I can actually look up someone's rules while they're playing with the unit, and I can say, whoa, dude, you forgot that you have like this ability that lets you like move faster or whatever, or oh, you forgot to reroll your ones, dude, you have that ability. Like, you can actually help other people run their rules and help teach people a lot better when you have their rules at your fingertips. So that's actually really great. And I actually do like the cards. I printed them out for the orcs, and I've been kind of using my clipboard. I'll take all the units I'm using, put them in my clipboard, and I can flip through that. I actually use that a little bit more than I use the app. I think it's really great. I like the cards, but I like it in AOS. So
yeah, I do too.
Now that all the rules are on the cards, just like in AOS, you don't have to worry about what parts you're missing. Actually, I think right now 40K is in a little bit better place than AOS, because you don't have all these like various faction abilities that are spread across the books. In 40K, they're like, oh, here's a detachment. There are your rules in that detachment, and that is it. So if we have cards for those in the future too, that come with the Codex cards, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's weird that to even hear somebody say that 40K is in a better place than AOS, because for the longest time, I know for myself personally, AOS was kind of like the more relaxed game to play,
right?
Because it was a little bit more simplified. It was
tighter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was tighter, but some of the faction stuff can get really complicated.
Right. It's bloated at this point, I feel.
Yeah. And I think if they take a cue from what they're doing with 40K and apply it to AOS, I think AOS will be a lot easier to manage. It's just, I do feel like we just got an edition in AOS, so I don't want to poison the well too much there.
Right. It needs to gestate.
All right. Question 7. Whose question was question 7?
I think it was mine.
Question 6. Okay. So, what other than the overcrowding of strats are you happy changed in 10th?
Yeah. What are you happy that got changed in 10th? So, I threw this one out there, and mine to start it all off was I'm happy that they changed leadership, because I liked what they did from 8th to 9th in the way that they manipulated leadership a little bit to make it kind of it affected differently, but I still felt like all it did was remove models.
You so badly want a fear bomb army to work in any Games Workshop game.
Stop.
You always wanted to make a fear bomb army work, because you're like, I want to play the game as little as possible. I want to scare you off the board so I don't have to worry about playing against you.
You're the bad guy from Scooby-Doo!
No. This goes back to the one time where Terror made a fight happen in 3 minutes into a 6-player game.
of fantasy. Yeah.
Of fantasy.
Yeah. You watched it unfold once and you went, man, I can't wait to get that high again. That was amazing. I'm so happy that I was able to make someone so mad that they got really angry in like the beginning of an 8-hour game.
I remember, I think it was in 6th edition when Eldar had a psychic power that caused you to take a morale check. Yeah, and like dudes just ran off the board.
Oh, that's awful.
Or if you're Gretchen, they just jumped off the building and died as they fell. Which was also amusing.
Didn't you get hit by a flyer that did that to you?
I don't know, but it was delightful to watch Gretchen just fall to their deaths. Nick, do you have any? What are you happy with?
So, like I kind of talked about earlier, that double-edged sword. The game does feel a little bit more casual, and by that, like I mean, like I've played games where I knew I was losing, but I wasn't getting crushed. Like Jared wasn't blowing things just completely off the field, or you know what I mean. Like there was, like I always felt like I still had a chance, I still had a play to make, and I actually like that. Because it just feels nice, like you said. I like to be able to play with my toys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Jason,
simplification of points. We're not doing do you want a plasma pistol? Okay, that's plus 5 points. Do you want this? Well, that's plus 5 points. And like all the little nitty gritty things have gone away. Now I realize that, Power Level tried to do that, but it didn't exactly succeed.
Power Level didn't go away. They just call it points now.
Yeah. Essentially.
Yeah. I will say, though, I do like not having to go through and be like, where do I drop 13 points? This dude loses his shield. This guy loses a pistol. Like, that actually kind of sucked.
Yeah, I'm all in on the new point system. But again, I played a lot of AOS, so I'm a little biased, but still, like, I know there's quite looking at one of those other discords that some of us are in, it's like some people are not happy about any of that.
Yeah. I can understand why losing the granularity made people kind of upset, because you end up with situations like Tau battlesuits, which are just, hey, I have a bunch of points on my armor. Let's just slap guns on them.
Yeah. And that doesn't feel good, man. It probably feels good, man, for the Tau player. He's like, this is exactly what I want, but like when you're staring down the barrel, you're just like, ah.
I say that having stole that talking point from Jared, because you did bring that up the other day, Jared, when we were talking about it, and I didn't notice how many actual options those things got. I went in and looked at it. They get like, replace the burst
all of them still.
No, they are bespoke. Like Tau battlesuits are bespoke weapons platforms with any ability or any kind, almost any special rule can be bolted onto those guys and any gun or whatever. And I can see some situations where, so I'm in a similar situation with the battle wagon, right? So, I've been playing with them in narrative play since the beginning, and I didn't even care. But right now, when I'm ranking a matched playlist, I'm like, well, I'm kind of an idiot if I don't put like a grab and claw on this thing, because it's
just better.
I can take it. I can take it, and it's fine.
Yeah.
So I do feel compelled to add some of these options that used to be options but are now just included that I don't have modeled on my models. So that's the one thing that might be a little annoying, but still, the point simplification I'm here for it. Those are minor quibbles.
So I think minor is 8. I actually counted. It's 8 weapons for the Tau Crisis battlesuits.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So it's interesting because the point you made, Adam, is the same thing that a lot of people who play competitive. I know none of us here do that, but I've been listening to a couple different groups from the competitive scene, and their big piece is by making it so everything is free, you've made it so if you don't make them the maximum effectiveness, you're losing because they're pointed to that level.
Yeah.
If you don't use those points and you don't make them a maximum effectiveness, you are wasting your points on that unit.
Right.
Which I don't agree with that sentiment. I understand where they're coming from, but I don't necessarily agree with it. I like the points the way that they are, and I think that it could. I think it needed to go that way a while ago, but they were too stuck in the way that they had it because of 9th.
Well, yeah, and like back in the day, remember, like 5th edition, 6th edition, people would just take naked units with no upgrades whatsoever just to use for scoring or use for chaff or whatever. And that also felt a little weird. Like, why wouldn't a tactical squad have a melt-a-gun and a rocket launcher or whatever?
Yeah.
It just felt wrong for these guys just be wandering around to just get killed. So there's a few. From a competitive standpoint, I think they are losing something by not being able to take. I'm just going to take 7 of these guys because 7's the right number for the math I'm trying to do to use for this thing. Well, now if you take 7 guys, you're paying for 10. Like,
that doesn't feel good.
Yeah, you got to take the 10 or else.
It's literally like buying a dozen eggs and smashing 4 on the ground, and you're just like, "Alrighty, here we go."
Yeah. So.
There's my dozen eggs.
There's my dozen.
If you're playing a narrative game and you have a reason to take just 6 guys, for example, if you're playing Noise Marines and you want Slaaneash's number, you know what? Just divide the unit cost by 5 and add another guy. That's fine by me.
Yeah.
Just
that's fair. Yeah.
Just freaking do it. I don't care. But it is nice that GW did come back and give a 7 model cost for the Plague Marines.
It fixed nothing else. Doesn't need to explain anything.
That just needed to be fixed.
So actually make the model count that comes in the box?
Yeah, that was a good thing.
Count.
That was a good thing. Okay, so Dave, did you have an answer to this one?
Consolidation of weapon stats onto the data cards. It makes it so, like, similar to AOS. You've got AOS has the to hit to wound stats and then rend and damage. It consolidates your weapon skill, the strength of the attack, the AP of the weapon, and how much damage it does. And you'll see, like, it's per unit. So, like, all the available options are there, which makes it, again, easier for building a list. You have an idea of, here's what I've got and here's what I can work with and what these will actually look like. So you can have those available to you, and they are different based on the unit that they're with. So, like, a Power Fist for a captain is different than a Power Fist for, let's say, an intercessor unit. I'm just using Space Marines as an example because it's easy.
Well, there's a similar example with orcs with the Urdi syringe. Like the syringe is different on each of the Pain Boy units, but they can be because they're just all on the data sheets.
Yeah. Which is nice that they've broken it down that way. And it's not as cut and dry as AOS, which is just, here's a flat number, here's a flat number. That's the hit, that's the to wound. There you go. Just roll those numbers and better. Solid. This one, you still need to rely on the chart, which has been significantly simplified from with the 8th and 9th and now the 10th version of it, where it's, 2+, 3+, 4+, 5+, 6+. It's like, if it's twice, if it's greater than in that chart that we've gotten kind of used to in the last few editions. But it is nice to have all of that available for you, so you don't need to go digging around in your book and be like, well, they're equipped with this weird weapon. Flip, 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 flip. Okay, so it hits its strength, blah, and yada, yada. So it makes it a little bit easier. It's just kind of more rules in one place.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So couple other questions here. Whose questions are these?
I threw 2 more in, yeah.
You threw 2 more in? Okay, so Kendrick wants to know if there are any factions whose rules you think fell flat.
I'll go
Kendrick?
last.
Okay, Tucker?
I had Death Guard because it just feels weird. Because they do have the +1 toughness. And I'm so used to them having feel no pain or anything else to it. Now they do basically a slightly different version of their old like their contagion rules for AOS, where they just make you weaker when you get closer to them, which I mean does work because they are bringing out diseases, but it just seems weird for the army that's usually save after save.
Right.
It's moving slow.
I like the idea. For this one, I like the idea. I feel like the full execution isn't there.
Right.
Like, they got almost there. Like, all they needed to do is make them more sturdy, and I think right now just +1 toughness just doesn't do it. Like,
it does. Like, that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if they aren't sturdy enough, or is it just something that we're saying because they don't have feel no pain?
Are they toughness 5? Or
no,
are they...
They're T5.
The whole army's T5. But then, like, their Terminators are T6. Yeah, that's the thing.
That's totally... Yeah, no, I'm in agreement with that. That's...
Well, orcs also have a 6-up save.
And a feel no pain on their beast negas.
The beast negas do have a feel no pain. That is true.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Beast negas are pretty
Beast Nega
good.
book.
Dude, yeah, they're pretty great. Okay, so yeah, I can't disagree with that. I do. I don't, from what everybody says, that seems to be the consensus. Jason.
Someone wrote 1,000 Suns for me, so I don't know. I'll be honest, I haven't read enough of the other faction rules to have an opinion, to be honest. I've been more focused on...
I'm in the same boat, dude. I don't know what's going on.
So yeah.
Jared?
I'm not really big into the Leagues of Votann.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a shame because they are really cool model-wise, especially being a whole new line.
Right.
But
Dave, you agreed with him, right?
100%.
Yeah, Dave, you're on the Votann. Yeah.
Oh, I'm on the Votann. Not necessarily hate parade, but I get it.
No, I don't hate them. I just, as far as army rules go, it just is kind of a feel-bad rule.
So I had a thought, and this happened probably about an hour ago. Why didn't Votann get their grudge being the new Space Marine rule, Oath of Moment? Like, they get to choose their grudge target at the beginning of each battle round, and then, because that seems like kind of a weird Space Marine rule, but it would fit pretty well with a grudge, right? Do I sound like an idiot?
That.
So what do you mean? What's the Votann rule right now?
They have grudge tokens that if you lose units, you start divvying out grudge tokens, which give you pluses, you get rerolls to hits and to wounds based on how many grudge tokens you have given out. And you can give them out with stratagems and unit abilities from your commanders and stuff like that. It's just a very wonky rule that requires you to lose models in an army that lore-wise doesn't have a lot of people to give up.
Yeah. They're also elitely priced, which I found to be very weird for an army that, for a mechanic that would be like heavy chaffed focus, they're priced Space Marine priced. It's not cheap to lose those little guys.
Well, are they still tough? Like, do they negate the AP still and stuff?
No. But you don't want to survive, and that's kind of the problem.
I feel like that army, that rule would benefit somebody like, a great example is Gene Stealer cults. Not that Gene Stealer cults already don't have a really cool rule. This rule would benefit an army similar to the way that Gene Stealer cults
an army designed to have dudes die.
Yeah. Or guard.
Okay.
Yeah, because this army just you don't get the full benefit of Eye of the Ancestors unless squads are dying, which never seems like it should be a goal.
Right, and in addition of Warhammer that is now seems to be designed to prevent you from dying.
Right.
Yeah, because it's not models dying; a whole squad has to be wiped.
Like narratively, the whole grudge thing is definitely a thing they would have to take into account. But you could do it with if you're targeted by an attack instead of,
or if
models die, not the entire units.
Right. Or if somebody steals an objective from you, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The other thing that they could do is they could make it so instead of it being like a permanent grudge, like once they fulfill their grudge, then they get a number of grudge tokens each turn based on these things, and then they dish them out when they go to attack.
It just comes down to being weird rule. Go ahead, Jared.
It's also just kind of boring, if we're being honest. Like, the best benefit you're getting is +1 to hit and wound. That's it. Like, that's not a very exciting army rule.
Yeah, fair. Yep, I like that. I like that explanation, guys. That was a good explanation for that one. Nick, what did you put?
And again, this is in the camp of I don't hate this army. This is purely coming from a place of like,
it's weird.
Oh man, yeah, it's weird.
It's
Was Adeptus Mechanicus. Because like they kind of have like the same thing where they're supposedly given buffs that actually make the army worse. Like they get, I think it's heavy weapon or blast to like all, like it's not blast. I think it's like heavy weapon to like a lot of their squads, which ends up cutting down on their AP or their shooting ability, and it's just like, why did you do this? Why did you hurt my boy?
Mm-hmm.
And it also just. And like anytime you're like in a position where you have like for you to get something, you have to sacrifice something. Like nobody wants to sacrifice like when other people are literally just handed it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. Kendrick, what were you thinking?
So the reason that I came up with this one is actually a discussion we had on the Discord a little while ago about Blood Angels and Space Wolves and how they are like themed. And I've always felt like one of the armies for Space Marines that doesn't have a great theme is Blood Angels, even though Blood Angels kind of have some really cool ideas behind them. +1 attack, +1 strength when they charge is kind of meh.
Mm-hmm.
I felt it just doesn't.
Isn't that the
right.
World Eaters trait?
What's
They have but they have the Corncino backing it up, which makes it a lot
right,
more fun.
So like Blood Angels just don't have the Corn dice, but they have a similar.
They have a similar rule, but they have the Oath of Moment thing. So you're picking a target, and you're like, okay, cool,
so
I'm going to kill that thing. But then my detachment rule is +1 attack, +1 strength, which is exactly the same as the World Eaters one.
It is exactly the same.
We do it better.
Because they have
do it in a more fun
moment,
way, I think.
Yeah, that would be more accurate.
So because they have the Oath of Moment, that brings them up. I felt like their detachment ability right now is what's falling flat, not necessarily their army ability. But
Oath of Moment's awesome.
Oath of Moment's so good.
It's really good.
It's too good.
The Blood Angels really fell flat with getting that.
Right, but I feel like the Blood Angels theme for their thing it didn't work that great for me.
That's totally fair.
What they should do is they should give out these tokens that every time a unit they have that dies can get pluses to hit against that unit for the rest of the whatever.
There you go.
Awesome. All right. Next question. Last question. Factions that you think are interesting but you're not playing yet. Kendrick.
Mine is Dark Eldar, but
you have a Dark Eldar army, right?
6th edition.
No, it does not.
No. Did I get those models? I always forget.
Nick, that blew up in Scotty's car when
that's right.
when he got into that accident.
That's right. Those Noodle boys did not survive.
The Dark Eldar armies had no chance.
half of my army did get destroyed in a car accident. That's okay. I don't plan on collecting them because there's I'm hoping a fairly large line of Tyranids coming that I can start. And I also have a very large Space Marine army.
And a baby. Just thought I'd point that one out.
And a baby, but But
whoa. And Chug the pug.
And Chug the pug.
And Chug. But I just think Dark Eldar are one of those factions that I always am kind of like drawn back to because like I really like the way that, especially right now, the way that they work. And I'm hoping that some of the rumors are true and that they're one of the factions this edition that's going to get a line rework. And I think that'd be really cool. And I can honestly say that would be one where it's like, oh, I'm drawn to buy them, but I won't. Still drawn to it. But
well, you can borrow them anytime you want.
It would add to the list of armies that Adam has that's getting a line rework this year.
We don't need that. No, thank
you. It's a long list, Adam, and it's just bad luck, my dude.
It just keeps going. Yeah. Tucker, do you have anything that you're interested in trying out?
I'm interested in doing Genestealer Cult because I do like the just waves upon waves of just recycling the units as they keep dying with all
so fun.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Squads.
Yeah.
They're the polar opposite of custodes.
People.
Yeah, that's true. Two very different armies.
People love gunning down models, and if you have plenty of models to gun down, that's everybody having fun.
Mm-hmm. And then I get to bring them back if you're playing tubular cults.
Exactly. Jason,
I want to bring back my my orcs, my cult of speed, speed wall group.
Ooh. That actually would be good this edition too, with how survivable vehicles are.
Yeah. Well, every time I've played them, I've just really enjoyed them, but I haven't played them in a while. So.
Okay. Yeah, I think I haven't really looked at the buggies too much, but it's probably just as fun as it ever was. I mean, they all get WOG, so
yeah,
it's
a great ability.
It's a great ability, so that's fine. Jared,
I'm actually interested in Grey Knights, and it's just because they just teleport all over the board all the time. I think that's great.
There's such good board control.
I love that kind of maneuverability. That's so cool.
They're tough to pin down. They really are. Yeah. And they do some damage too. So if you think you've got them pinned down, they just chop you in half and call you and just go, we're leaving anyway. And then they just leave.
Bye.
Dave?
So mine was a toss-up between the two cult marine armies that are out there, between Thousand Sons and Death Guard. More or less just because I want to paint a Demon Primarch. I lean a little more toward Thousand Sons just because the Space Wolves rivalry is there already, and I think that their rules are interesting. The Cabal list is the Cabal ritual stuff is pretty neat. Plus they're just awesome looking, and maybe I'm just like, oh man, those look amazing. I can't paint as well as Jason. So I'm just going to have to deal with that. So
Dave says, how many awards have you won for painting, Dave?
2. 2. You have 2 award-winning armies.
I do have 2. I'm an award-winning.
What's an award-winning model?
One is an award-winning model, yeah. And then, with the, at ACO, I got another one. So that was fun.
Lord of the Rings Easterlings.
Yep.
Best painted.
Good old. That was a good time. But I think that T-Suns seem pretty interesting. Just the idea of them, they're kind of cool. They all have one cohesive theme, which is awesome. So
nice.
And everyone's kind of
help. Nick.
This one was weird because it's like you don't want to play something that you already play, but you also just can't ignore who you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I went with Chaos Knights, because it's the same idea, but just less models. So it's just stomp. All right, game's over. Turn 3. I'm gonna go smoke a bowl. You guys have a good one. But in all honesty, it's an aggressive army. I really do enjoy larger models. I love painting them, and just the amount of detail you can put in. Because a shoulder piece on a Space Marine, you can probably throw a decal on, make it look pretty good. But a shoulder pauldron on a large Chaos Knight, you can do a lot more. You can paint it up to look a lot different. It's a bigger canvas to express yourself on.
Awesome. I love that. For me, I was so annoyed with the Imperial Knight Codex in 9th edition that I'm looking forward to trying out Imperial Knights in this edition or selling them. I'm not sure where I'm at yet with that. I'm either excited about trying them out or I'm excited about selling them so I can buy more Cities of Sigmar when they come out. So
those are cool.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what to do with that information in my brain, but brain is not helpful normally anyways, so that's fine.
So Adam's input is, yeah, I love 40K. I might be buying a whole other army in AOS.
Well, yeah.
He's got how many points in orcs? I don't think you're going to run out of variety that you can run in your orcs army. It's
That's true.
I think I have found that I am super fine with orcs.
Yeah,
is the thing.
Be.
I'm kind of.
What would you guess your points at?
Right now?
Yes,
I have no idea now because it was like 26,000 before. Now now the whole thing has changed. I haven't redone my spreadsheet yet.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, and also now there's odd numbers. So now I'm like, well, I don't know what those odd
Nick
numbers
got really excited about the word spreadsheet.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, trust me. Adam's a freak in the sheets.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm actually like, remember, you guys have given me a bunch of Astra Militarum models to do that Rogue Trader project. I don't know. I might turn around and give those away to somebody else and just be done with that, and be done with a bunch of these other armies that I have like 2,000 points of. And
so what are you thinking? Who's hitting the block?
No, I'm pretty sure the Imperial Knights are going to get a whoosh. And so here's the thing. I love those demon orcs. I put a lot of effort into those, so I don't think I'd give them away, but I think they're going to get moved into the cabinets.
Oh.
Wow.
I think they're going to go in the cabinet. I think, yeah.
So is that Nick's question? What armies is everyone getting rid of?
Well, also the Diggas, man. Those Diggas, the Diggas are like, oof.
Yeah.
Some of those are. I saw that collection. You brought out some of them when we were in Canada, and hoy, buddy.
Yeah, some of them are a little oof.
Showing their age.
Also the Jackals would be better for that kind of army as well. Those are gorgeous models. So like all of those armies.
Guys are pretty solid too.
The Ashways are so good. So
those are really good.
I am just at a point where I am cool with just having. I mean, I'm still gonna paint more orcs. I mean, I just painted 6 Killicans, so sure.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna go, and I also have a giant unpainted Tau army that I should just sell.
Where'd you get a Tau army?
Yeah, what?
Yeah, no, not even built. It's like unbuilt.
A bunch of Tau boxes.
I really wanted to do a super stealthy. I wanted to do a super stealthy Tau army. I wanted to do all stealth suits, all whatever suits. What are they called? The
Ghost Keel.
Ghost Keels.
Keels.
So let me throw this out there. This is just me spitballing, but would you be willing to do a charity raffle with them?
Yeah, that might be a good idea. I'd do that.
Solid. Actually, yeah, I think that'd be cool to do.
Let's do that. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do a charity raffle for all that stuff. All the Astra Militarum stuff I have and all the Tau stuff. I'll just do a charity raffle and we'll call it a day.
Yeah, Imperial Knights too.
We're not going to do that with you. No. I need cash for the Imperial Knights so I can buy Sigma Sigmar.
Whoa. Calm down.
Does anyone want a converted AdMech army?
Right.
Dave, hold strong, Dave.
Dave, don't do it, Dave.
Don't panic yet.
I almost got to a fight at Adepticon for that army. You're holding on to it.
It's true. You went to bat for me. I appreciated that, Nick.
I appreciate you, Dave.
All right. So I have a quick question for you guys. So where does this put 40K in your game playing between AOS and Horus Heresy?
Ooh, good question. I would say, honestly, at this point, with how everything's kind of changed and how everything's kind of been simplified, 40K really has jumped up in my list, where I feel really excited to build models again, get stuff painted again, work on the army, play games, so yeah, it's definitely jumped up on my list.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. It'd be probably number 1 for me.
Okay.
Because Heresy, when it first came out, I definitely had a fun couple months, but once those, kind of like the honeymoon phase was over, I was like, oh wait, this is still 7th edition.
Yeah.
Right, there were a lot of issues. Like, people being able to take one guy in Artificer armor and then just single roll 36 dice on him was infuriating. You people are monsters. I'm calling all of you out. Stop it. The dice are all the same. Roll them together.
Hey, so I have a question. Do you think you can play Horus Heresy using the 10th edition rules?
No.
Or there are not enough units released for that yet?
It does not compute.
No.
Okay.
It's
I really don't see that working at all, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, good to know. Good to know. All right, great. Well, did anybody have anything you wanted to add before we close out the show? Thanks for coming, you guys. I super duper appreciate it. It's always nice to get more opinions on the show whenever possible. It's been tough getting more NDAs, but I think this kind of conversation is much more valuable to our listeners than knee-jerk reactions. And in some sense, this is still only a few games in for all of us, so it's still kind of a knee-jerk reaction a little bit, but at least it's a well-informed knee-jerk reaction, right? And I appreciate that.
You're getting 6 viewpoints. Yeah, there were 6 viewpoints with us rather than dealing with 1 or 2 extras. And we all play fairly differently, and it's nice to get a bunch of different viewpoints. So
awesome. So next episode we are Jason and I. So here's my opinion on the article that Games Workshop put out explaining how to convert your Crusade army into 10th edition.
For those of you who have issues with translating flatulence, what Adam is trying to tell you is that he is less than impressed.
This one might need a wipe.
Are you kidding? This is going to need like a power wash.
Someone's going to need a shower. Someone's going to need a 5,000. Someone's going to need a 5,000 psi like pressure washer on my underpants, or I could just put them in a submersible and send it to the bottom of the ocean. You get 5,000 psi that way too.
Or you could just throw them in the trash, and then they'll still end up in the ocean.
You can just walk across the street and throw them in the Hudson.
That's true. That's true. It wouldn't change anything.
In that water. Come on. Leave the Hudson alone.
Absolutely. Poor Hudson River. So what we're going to do is Jason and I are going to do each of our favorite factions. He's going to do the Thousand Sons. I'm going to do the Orcs, and we're going to go through and give notes on how to convert the rules in the Codex, the Crusade rules in the Codex for 10th edition. Yeah. I'm not gonna, long story short, like preview is not hard. It's real easy. There's no reason at all for anyone to ever try to just convert it the way GW told you to in that article. You should just use your Codex. Keep your Codex. Use it for Crusade.
Yeah. Just cut those pages out. This is like just a couple pages. It's not that many.
Cut them out and arrange them in the proper order. Okay.
Oh, one quick question before we
Go ahead.
And this is kind of a dirty question now, and I hope you guys don't get offended, but have you and Jason ever thought about trading armies for a game?
I've heard of people doing that. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to do. I would be down with that.
Yeah.
I was waiting for Adam to say when he said we're gonna do the review. I'm gonna do Thousand Sons and he's gonna do Orcs. I was waiting for that. I was like, okay.
No, that would be fun. That would be a fun thing to do. It would be interesting to see what kind of list I would build for Thousand Sons.
Well, I mean, I know what list I'd build for Orcs, so.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would probably be all rubrics all the time.
No, but you have to show Jason the true power of Zangors.
Yeah, you do that.
You appreciate the Gretchen. You need to experience the Zangor.
Yes. Next time, I will take 120 Zangor. Until then,
play the game the way you want to.
We'd love it if you could give us a positive rating and review on iTunes.
If you'd like to keep in contact with us, you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter by searching for Masters of the Forge.
And you can follow our hobby progress on Instagram with the hashtag Masters of the Forge.
If you'd like to engage with us directly, you can always join our Discord server.
To do so, or if you have any questions, topic suggestions, or if you'd like to advertise your creative hobby endeavor,
contact us at mastersoftheforge@gmail.com.
Please consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/mastersoftheforge. Thanks.
This podcast is protected by the Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Non-Commercial International License. More information about this license and contact information if you have any requests can be found at our blog, mastersoftheforge.com.
It's such a good feeling to play games your way. It's such a happy feeling, 40K'ing away. And when you throw dice with story in mind, it's such a wonderful way to unwind. It's a good feeling, a very good feeling, the feeling you know that we'll be back when the fortnight's new, and we'll have new ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. We will too.